Hi guys, you are welcome to another episode of Relufe Review, a show where we objectively review the Nigerian art, music, movies, and entertainment in general. You know, when you see me, it's another movie review, and like I always say, anything that I say here is all my personal opinion and my personal bias. On that note, my name is AY with the double O, and let's get straight to the movie that we have for today. The movie we are going to be reviewing today is titled Thinline. Thinline is a Mercy Aigbe production. She produced Thinline and it's in the cinemas. So Thinline tells the story of Pastor and Pastor Mrs. Damlola Onjoko, Pastor Raymond and Pastor Damlola Onjoko. Pastor Raymond was played by Uzo Arukwe, and Mercy Aigbe played the role of Pastor Damlola Onjoko, who was the pastor's wife. And I like that she played that character in her production. It tells the story of the pastor and his wife who lived a normal life. It was a pastor in the church, always preaching about love, family, relationships, and all of that. But they opened up the scene with Annie. Annie now is a prostitute who had stolen money and some items, wristwatches from Itele the Icon. He played that character, Shea Bola, in the movie. So she had stolen some of his items, money, and run off, and he was chasing her and all of that, but didn't meet up. She was able to run with his property, so he was on the lookout for her. He was hunting for her, and he went back to where he had picked her up from to ask, you know, that restaurant and all of that, the manager, you know, that, and had reported her as well to have stolen some of his properties. And then we saw her do the same again to Babaola, which was played by a veteran Yoruba actor. It was played by the veteran Yoruba actor, and that was what we saw again. She had escaped with his money, the money that belonged to his wife. Iyabojo played the role of his wife. Eboloede was Babaola, fondly called Babaola by his wife, you know. So that was what they introduced us into again. So we've established Annie as a character, a prostitute in the movie who was also used to stealing, you know, to make ends meet apart from prostitution. And then Pastor Raymond. But what I would say I didn't really understand was how Annie got to know about Pastor Raymond, or even had him, do you understand how she had him in mind? I can't really place that. But along the line in the movie, she was obviously on the lookout for Pastor Raymond because she had lodged in the same hotel that he had lodged in. She, one way or the other, was friends with Pastor Raymond's friend. While they were sitting out at the reception at the hotel, she had drugged this drink rather, and then gone to his room, you know, after he must have gone to the room, and she raped him. That's just it. She did rape him, took some explicit images, and decided to blackmail him on the long run. Initially, from that point, I knew it wasn't about the money for Annie because she had stolen a lot of money from other people. So, I mean, this time around, she wasn't looking out for money. The money was just, of course, because it's Annie and she likes money, you know, she had to blackmail him with money, and she had asked to have sex one more time with him. Now, what I would have expected Pastor Ray to do at this point was to be as open as he could have been to his wife, but he decided to hold back. And I can't blame him, you know, it's difficult. How do you as a man come up to say that you've been raped, or you can't even explain how you had sex, you know, with someone? It's easier for a woman to tell that kind of story. So I would understand from his own part as a man, it was difficult. Now, from his own part as a pastor, how would he explain having been in that situation is weird, to be very honest. So he held back that information from his wife, and along the line, fell into Annie's blackmail, had paid the sum of 10 million naira, and had sex again for the second time. Now, after the second time, you know, there's a way that he started to feel guilty, and he just had to go home to tell his wife. Now, how much love do you have for someone? We saw him in his most vulnerable state with the wife. So he went to her as open and as honest as he could have been from the start and told her everything that had happened, which was all honesty, to be very clear. But Mercy Aigbe, on the other hand, I mean, it's actually difficult, believing a man's word, especially when he has done it again, which she inquired, like, okay, how many times has this happened? And he said twice. She was hurt, but of course, she still went on to support her husband, and we were shut out of whatever was going on between Annie and Pastor Ray, up until a Sunday service where Pastor Ray was being apprehended by the police. They had come during Thanksgiving, a praise and worship session, to pick up Pastor Ray for the murder of Annie. So Annie, what we saw was a scene where Annie had been butchered, for the lack of a better word. She was smashed in the head and was, lifeless. And the police had to, of course, start to make the investigations, which, of course, from our call logs, led to Pastor Ray and subsequently to Babaola, played by Aigbe. And they started to unravel, okay, who killed Annie? And that was where the suspense for me was. But if you're used to suspense and, crime and trying to unravel murder with movies, you have to start to think of the least person that you would expect. So if you are used to unraveling such, you'll probably guess that his wife, did it somewhere along the line. Now, the most thrilling part of the movie was how she did it. It wasn't what she did. So she had killed Annie. She had inserted her husband's semen into Annie to make it seem as though her husband had had sex with her that fateful day. So it was indeed a trap. She put up her husband she set him up, literally. But then she was hurt, and I would not, it's still not an excuse for what she did, So, of course, there was suspense here and there along the line, trying to unravel who killed Annie, and it was interesting overall to watch. Eventually, of course, the police were able to find, of course, to link one item or the other to eventually unravel the mystery behind the murder of Annie. And Annie, on the other hand, was already pregnant for the pastor, which was only known to his wife. And towards the last scene, we also saw the pastor even apologizing, more importantly, to the wife. So at the end of the day, it still shows that it was a genuine pastor, by the way, in the movie, but I would have preferred that his spirituality came to play. So what we saw was a pastor character that fell for the sins of the flesh, but I would have also loved to see that, okay, you're a pastor, let God do his thing, even in this situation that you found yourself. So what we saw was Pastor Ray speaking in tongues, but I didn't really see a lot of his spirituality really come to play. I didn't see that fire, I didn't see that energy, I didn't see God coming through for him, one way or the other in the movie, which would, of course, beg the question, is he really a pastor? And then, of course, he went back to ask for forgiveness from God. His wife was, sent to jail and all of that, and he had to start up the church again with just few members. And that was what we saw towards the end of A Thin Line. So straight to the rating criteria. First, I would like to say that Thinline is one of its kind from Mercy Aigbe. This is the first time that I'm seeing her produce something like this, which is an improvement from what she's done in the past. And of course, she also recently produced Modadi, and I would say that for Nigerian movie industry, they're stepping up their game. We're traveling in so many areas for Nigerians. We're traveling in the music space, even in Africa generally. And of course, for movies, we are thriving in Nigeria. We're getting better and better at it by the day. And it's also good to see some of these people that started also evolving beyond how they started, beyond the stereotype, beyond what people know them to be. And, sometimes it just takes coming out of your shell or putting out that story that you've written to actually create a masterpiece. This is a masterpiece created by Mercy Aigbe. For the plot, it's not a new murder story where someone is being killed or they're trying to unravel who killed who or who killed this or who killed that. But I like the narrative this time around. I like infusing Christianity into a street girl who was played by Annie into her life. And of course, there are lots of unanswered questions as to how. So I'd say that there was a bit of a problem with maybe the plot development. I think it wasn't developed properly as it would or as properly as it should be. But for the plot, I'll give it a 7/10. For the acting, this is the first time as well that I'm looking at Uche Montana. Annie was played by Uche Montana, and Uche gave it her best. When I say her best, this is the best that I've seen Uche play, apart from the stereotype characters of being a girlfriend to a rich man or just being a girlfriend. This time around, I saw her in a completely different light, and of course, different production. Amazing acting. Uche Montana outdid herself with this one. Shea Bola, played by Tele, the icon as well. Itele just always has that energy, and a bit of comic, comedy to whatever it is that he does. Iyabo Ojo, of course, she's coming back gradually. It's been a long time away from the scene, and she's coming back and also doing that well. She's thriving as well, being back in the industry. Uzo Arukwe is just a phenomenal actor, and I'll say that he wears each character given to him so well that I can't tell what character is. I can't give him a stereotype yet. I can't stereotype him yet. Like, oh, okay, I think Uzo Arukwe rather does well with this character or with that character. I can't seem to place that with Uzo Arukwe yet. And every other person that was in that movie, Mercy Aigbe herself did an amazing job. For the acting, I'll give it a good 8/10. Now, for the editing, the cinematography, the soundtrack, the setting, it was absolutely beautiful. Beautiful cameras, beautiful lighting, beautiful everything, to be very honest. I'll give that a good 8/10. So for the E factor of this movie, I'd say it's a one-of-a-kind movie. Most importantly, one of a kind from Mercy Aigbe, if you ask me. So for the E factor, I'll give it a good 8/10 as well. It's unique, the story, how it was being told, more importantly. For the directing, amazing job, fantastic movie. I'll just leave you to go and watch it. And of course, let me know what you think about it. But overall, Thinline gets 8/10 from this end. It's a must watch. You have to watch it. Yes, you have to watch it. Because, of course, Mercy Aigbe produced this and she did an amazing job. And it's the first of its kind that you see from Mercy Aigbe. So, go to the cinemas and watch it. Thinline. It's an amazing movie. It's a must-watch for everybody. Beautiful story. Amazing story. Let me know what you think about my final verdict in the comment box. If you agree or you disagree, let me know. And if you have any movie whatsoever that you love for us to review at RelufeTV, let me also know in the comment box. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe across all social media platforms. It is at RelufeTV. Until I come your way again next time on another episode of Relufe Review, my name is AY with the double O.